Aggies down 2 with the ball. Got to get it in. Martinez, it's a 3, and he's fouled, and he has it!
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Basketball in the Mountains. I'm your host, as always, Tyler King. This is episode number 75, and we're here to talk all things hoops in the Mountain Time Zone. As always, appreciate everybody who is joining us today, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify or watching over on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe wherever you are listening. If you're on Apple or Spotify, leave those 5-star reviews. Spotify, you can leave comments on the episodes as well. And for YouTube, obviously, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you're leaving likes on all these videos. Make sure you're leaving comments. All this stuff helps me get it out there to a bigger audience. And no better time to do that now than we're here just days away from March Madness. We are coming to you for a second time already this week, back-to-back days with episodes here. And you know what that means. It means either the season is starting or March Madness is right around the corner. That's how we do it here on the show, trying to get you as much coverage as possible of the great college teams and really, really fun college teams that we have here in the Mountain Time Zone. If you missed yesterday's episode previewing the Big 12, make sure to go check that out. Also, gave my own Big 12 awards, recapped the actual Big 12 awards from the coaches, a little bit of some disagreements I had with my picks, but not too many. And to be honest, today we've got even less as we're getting ready to go over the Mountain West awards and predict the Mountain West tournament, which is starting today when most of you will be listening to this on Wednesday. Got 4 games today, kicking it off with Wyoming and UNLV on at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Then we've got Air Force and Nevada, the second game of the first slate. Then in the nightcap, we've got Colorado State and Fresno State before we get Boise and San Jose State. And then obviously the top 4 teams will be in action the following day in the quarterfinals. So a little bit different format this year where just the 4 teams get the bye in the Mountain West. But now we got 12 teams in the conference with Grand Canyon coming in this year. It's been an interesting year for the Mountain West, if we're being honest. Like, it did not start out great. Like, obviously this league has been awesome for the last couple of years. Obviously peaking with 6 NCAA tournament bids in 2024, but it's been a consistent multi-bid league, and we weren't sure if we were going to get that this season. I mean, obviously Utah State has had a kind of a wire-to-wire, really solid season. San Diego State bounced back in Mountain West play after a disappointing non-conference play with some puzzling losses in there. Boise State had a weird loss to a Division II team early in the season. Colorado State, obviously came out hot in non-conference play, winning a couple of big games. They also lost at home to Denver, and they had a really, really rough start to Mountain West play. GCU coming into the league, like I mentioned, their first year. They've been a really, really fun team. Obviously, them getting a top 4 seed in the conference is really, really nice for that program. After them kind of dominating the WAC for the last couple of years, they've been a nice welcome addition and a competitive basketball program, which obviously you want to keep adding if you're the Mountain West, which this is the last year, and this is the last Mountain West tournament where that's going to look like this. Obviously, with Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State, Colorado State, and Fresno State all leaving the conference next year to join the new look Pac-12 with Gonzaga in there as well, and obviously Texas State coming in as well. Mountain West is going to look a little bit different next year. Obviously, the football side, very different with them already adding North Dakota State, Northern Illinois. UTEP's coming into the conference, I think, as a full-time member. Same for UC Davis. So Mountain West is going to look very different next year without a lot of their top brands. So we should appreciate this last really great Mountain West tournament because there's been so many fun moments from the Mountain West tournament these last couple of years, in particular with how competitive these programs have been. You just kind of look at it. Utah State has really had a great decade in terms of coaches coming in and out and them still turning out NCAA tournament appearances. Maybe you'd like to see them go a little bit of a deeper run, and maybe they'll do that this year. San Diego State is obviously the only team that's really done that, making the national championship game back in 2024 before losing to UConn. Or 2023, actually. No, 2024. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, 2023. I'm just losing my mind here a little bit. But New Mexico, is kind of bounced back this decade as well. Richard Pitino got the team to the tournament last year. Obviously Donovan Dent was a big player for the Lobos before he moved on to UCLA. They've continued that success this year, and Eric Olin Boise State's made a bunch of NCAA tournament appearances, still looking for that first March Madness win. But, Leon Rice is always going to have a solid program there, as he's had this year, even if it's not going to be an NCAA tournament appearance, barring a run in the Mountain West tournament, obviously. But Colorado State has obviously made 3 of the last 4. Again, won't be participating this year in the NCAA tournament unless they make the Mountain West or win the Mountain West. But UNLV has had a weird little decade here. They've been a fun team this year, and overall in the Mountain West, despite the fact that it's probably a two bid, maybe 3 bid league at maximum this season. I think it's been a fun last season for this iteration of the Mountain West, and a conference that I'm certainly going to miss. Obviously, we're still going to be talking about it on the show, given that New Mexico and GCU are still, and Wyoming are still going to be in the conference, and Air Force, going forward. UTEP's coming in as well, so still plenty to talk about for us. But I'm looking forward to the new look Pac-12 as well next season. I think it's going to be a really, really fun league with obviously the top teams from the Mountain West Conference, at least the teams that have kind of run the league for the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. So without further ado, we'll get into the Mountain West awards, recapping them, and I'm going to spoil it right now. I don't have any disagreements with any of the individual awards, and I'm pretty sure I have the same first team that was voted on by the Mountain West coaches and media. So player of the year is Mason Falslev from Utah State. No surprise here. Utah State, 15-5, wins the league. Falslev, I think, is their most complete player, even though he's not got the sexiest stats. He's still a guy who was 6th in the conference in scoring. He led Utah State in rebounding. He's top 10 in that category. He's up there in assists as well. Not Utah State's leader, but top 10. So top 10 in scoring, rebounding, and assists. It's kind of similar to the Big 12, where obviously there's a lot of great individual players in the Big 12, but Jaden Bradley got Big 12 Player of the Year. That's a little bit kind of the opposite here, I should say, in the Mountain West, where a lot of great teams, kind of well-rounded teams, and there's not a ton of overwhelming individual talent in the Mountain West, where it's that guy is definitely the Mountain West Player of the Year. But I think obviously with Utah State wire to wire leading this conference and clearly being the conference's best team, deserves to have the Player of the Year. And I think Mason Falslev is kind of the straw that stirs the drink in Logan, if you will. So I think he's fully deserving, and I have no qualms with that. Defensive Player of the Year, again, I think it has to be Miles Byrd. Obviously, San Diego State has got one of the better defenses in the country. I think they're top 25 in KenPom and defensive efficiency. If you go look at conference stats, some of the advanced stats, Miles Byrd is by far the leader in defensive BPM, 6.3, which actually makes him the overall BPM leader in the Mountain West. I don't think he's worthy of being Mountain West Player of the Year, but he is the best defender, I think, in the Mountain West, and this is probably the last year we see him in college basketball. Obviously I was at Colorado State versus San Diego State last month, and there are plenty of scouts there, including Nuggets. One of the guys who helps run the Nuggets, Ben Tenzer, was in attendance, and it's not easy to figure out who they're trying to see when San Diego State's in town. So I think Miles Byrd, probably not a first-round pick, but I think he'll probably try to make a jump to the league this year, and he'll probably be a second-round pick. So he's been a fun player to watch throughout his time in the conference, and I think he's a fully deserving Defensive Player of the Year. Move on to Newcomer of the Year. Yeah, it has to be Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn. The Illinois transfer has been awesome, especially recently. I think he finished the season with 3 out of his last 4 games or 30-plus points. He had 42 in an overtime win over Nevada, 32 at San Diego State, a close loss to wrap out the regular season. I think he's had 5 30-point games in his last 7 games, including one against Colorado State at home and another close loss. UNLV is going to be a fun team to watch. I think it wouldn't be surprising to see them make play spoiler a little bit. And obviously it's the conference tournament's in their home gym. They're going to have plenty of fans there. And Gibbs-Lawhorn is clearly the best scorer in the conference. And, maybe if the season was a week or two longer, he's a even bigger contender for think he was second in field goal percentage among qualifying players. He's just been a really, really fun player to watch all season long. He's got a good 3-point shot. He's just a really, really gifted scorer. And I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on to him. I doubt it, but he's been a really fun player to watch this year in the Mountain West. So We'll move on to sixth man of the year, and I think Carson Templin again is very worthy of this award. I understand wanting to go for a Utah State player, and Templin kind of is a starter, but by minutes in terms of what Utah State does, but he does come off the bench for the majority of their games, so I get having him. He does qualify for this award. He's the third leading scorer. He's the second leading rebounder on the team. Templin is. I think he's had a nice improvement this year, despite the minutes not really improving like you'd expect. He's went up from 17 minutes to 9 minutes, but he's still a pretty efficient player when he's out there. He's made more threes this year. He's been a better free throw shooter, all that kind of stuff. He's still a pretty solid offensive rebounder. So Carson Templin, very, very important to what Utah State has done this season, and worthy sixth man of the year. Two more awards to go. We've got freshman of the year, and this is not even close, man. It's Jake Hall, who just kind of blew me away with how good he has been at New Mexico this season. I think he is right up there in terms of offensive BPM in the conference. Yeah, fourth in offensive BPM behind Gibbs, Lawhorn, Fielder, and Colby Garland in conference games. And those are some of the better scorers in the conference. Jake Hall was right up there with those guys, averaging 17.5 points per game in Mountain West games. Was available for this New Mexico team, played in all 20 games. And just as a freshman, man, like it's just so impressive to watch him be the go-to guy. And even as defenses have adjusted to trying to take him away, he's able to come out and have some really, really great performances like he did the other day in their game, in their loss at Utah State to close out the regular season, which if New Mexico had won, they would have, clinched a share of the regular season title with Utah State. But Jake Hall had 32 points in that game. And he was 7 of 17 from three. He was just kind of chucking, and New Mexico needed everything he had in that game to keep up with Utah State for as long as they did. But pretty clear freshman of the year, Jake Hall. We'll see if New Mexico can hold on to him. He was a very under-recruited guy out of the San Diego area. He was going to go to play for Eric Olin at UC San Diego. Before Olin gets the New Mexico job, he brings Hall with him as a commit out of high school, and he quickly becomes the leading scorer for New Mexico. And I think he's a first-team All-Mountain West guy. I think he got that award, and I fully agree with that as well. We'll get into the first, second, and third team, and the all-defensive team as well. But one more award here, and it is Jared Calhoun, Coach of the Year. Pretty self-explanatory, if I'm being the award should not always go to the just the team who's at the top of the standings. I think that's kind of an overly simplistic exercise if you're deciding coach of the year like that. But just kind of the way Calhoun was able to retain. Obviously, sticking around for another year. We'll see if he makes it to a third year at Utah State. He's going to be a very, very hot coach on the market in the rumor mill this time of year with all the jobs that are coming open, especially at the Power 4 level and back east, closer to where he's from, in the Ohio area, and where he thrived for a long, long time. We'll see if Utah State can hold on to him. But the fact that he did stay for year two, held on to some key guys, and then also just kind of nailed every transfer portal edition, freshman edition that these guys signed. They're just a better team than they were last year. And that's why I think they definitely are a team that should be able to win an NCAA tournament game. And because their defense is so much better this year. Their offense was obviously great last year, but defense is kind of what did them in the NCAA tournament and kind of limited their ceiling. But they just got better athletes, and they got better talent overall. And you got to give Calhoun credit for identifying a lot of these guys. MJ Collins had a great season for them. He definitely is going to land on one of my all Mountain West teams. Obviously Falslev is been there and has kind of improved steadily during Calhoun's tenure, even though he was a guy he inherited. Templin, same thing. Just kind of all the additions they made were really good ones. I've talked about how much I like Elijah Perryman, on the show before. Colby King was a great transfer addition. Drake Allen continued to get better. He led the team in assists. Gary Clark was a solid player off the bench. Another freshman, Adlin Elamine, was really solid as well for this group. So Jared Calhoun fully deserving as the Mountain West Coach of the Year. We'll get into I'm going to keep this shorter today than I did yesterday. I rambled a little bit for the Big 12 stuff. So we'll get into my Mountain West first team, second team, third team, all defense team, and then wrap it up with some quick picks and some quick shout outs on the show today. First team, All Mountain West. I think I've got the exact same that, or maybe it might be a little bit different than what the coaches had. I have Mason Falslev, Drake Gibbs Lawhorn, Jaden Henley from Grand Canyon had a great season, transfer from UNLV. Really the leader there for GCU all season. Corey Camper from Nevada also had a great season. Really kind of emerged late, scoring the ball as the third leading scorer in the conference. So he gets on here, and the last spot goes to Jake Hall, like I mentioned. Even though he's a freshman, I thought he was one of the five best players. I thought he was one of the five best players in the Mountain West this year. So he's fully deserving of getting on here first team. Second team, I've got Colby Garland from San Jose State, who I just thought, even though San Jose State did not have a great season, I thought he was really good. He averaged over 21 points per game. I've got MJ Collins. MJ Collins, from Utah State. Makai Williams from Grand Canyon. I've got Tomislav Buljan from New Mexico, and then to round out Miles Bird on second team. Then third team, I've got Elijah Price. I've got Deshaun Gorey from Fresno State, who I saw in person and was super impressive. I really liked what I saw from him. So those two guys. Then you got Drew Fielder from Boise State. Got to get a Boise guy on here with how they finished the season. And Fielder, another guy who was really impressive when I saw him in person. The Boise kid who transferred from Georgetown last offseason has kind of lived up to what they've needed from him. The advanced metrics really like him. He's been one of the most impactful players in the conference. And then Jevin Mooney's as well from Colorado State, led the conference in assists. Had his role change a little bit throughout the season, but as the lone senior on that Rams team, was just really important to what their success, and obviously turning that thing around after 3-8. He was in the starting lineup for the last couple of games when Josh Pasquarelli was down. So I think Jevin Mooney's is certainly another player that's worthy. That was a very balanced CSU team. He could have went Brendan Recksteiner as well, but I'm going to go with Mooney's for his playmaking abilities. And we'll round it out with Reese Dixon Waters from San Diego State, another who was their leading scorer. And I think you got to get multiple San Diego State players on among the 15 guys, because they finished third in the conference, and just in general, I thought had a pretty second in the conference, and just in general had a pretty solid season overall. So those are my first, second, and third teams in All Mountain West. All defensive team, again, pretty straightforward with this. Obviously, Miles Bird, Defensive Player of the Year. Nana Owusu Anane from Grand Canyon, one of the better rim protectors in the conference. I also went Mason Falslev, who another reason why he was Player of the Year is because he's also a really solid defender. Elijah Price from Nevada, who I thought had a good season, especially as a rebounder. And RJ Keene, maybe a little bit of a surprise from Boise State, but you look at defensive BPM, he's third in the conference behind Bird and Owusu Anane. So he's just a guy that I think is a really impactful defender for the Boise State team that was really good defensively kind of all season. They're top 70 in KenPom defensively, and that's been one of the more solid units in the Mountain West, excuse me. So those are my All Mountain West awards. Let me know if you guys disagree in the comments with any of it. Like yesterday with Big 12, there's a lot of cases you could have made for other guys. I mentioned Brandon Recksteiner from CSU. I think Leland Walker from Wyoming could have got a shout for third team All Mountain West, and plenty of other guys as well. And I didn't do an all freshman team. The league doesn't do one. Maybe the Pac-12 will have one next year, but we'll see. I went over the schedule already for Mountain West, but to quickly recap: UNLV Wyoming first game, Nevada Air Force second game, Colorado State Fresno third game, and Boise State San Jose is the nightcap tomorrow. I've got UNLV beating Wyoming, Nevada beating Air Force, Colorado State beating Fresno, and Boise beating San Jose State. So I've got all the top higher seeds winning those games. Setting up a really fun 1-8 game, Utah State versus UNLV. UNLV beat Utah State twice in the regular season, swept them, beat them in Logan, and then again in Las Vegas, right at the Thomas and Mack Center. I think if Drake Gibbs Lawhorns gets hot, this game could get really weird. It's gonna be the first game of the day on Thursday, so could be really interesting to see if UNLV could pull off that upset. Would really throw the Mountain West tournament for a loop and have some chaos in there. But I think Utah State does get it done over UNLV. I do think Utah State's just too well rounded, and it's tough to beat any team three times in one season, and I don't think Utah State is a team you could do that against. So I'm going to go with the Aggies getting past into the semifinals. I've got Nevada beating Grand Canyon after beating Air Force on the first day. You always think likely one of these teams is going to move on past they're going to win multiple games, that played on the first. Corey Camper, like I talked about, first team all Mountain West. Elijah Price was a really good player in the conference as well. So I'm going to have Nevada advancing past GCU. I'm going to have San Diego State beating Colorado State. Just a little bit of a tough matchup for CSU, I think, in a tournament setting. We'll see if CSU gets Josh Pasquarelli back. That would be big for them offensively. They obviously beat San Diego State last month at home, but lost to them at Viejas in pretty – it was not really a competitive game. So I've got San Diego State. I think the defense will travel. I think they'll get past CSU. And then I've got Boise beating New Mexico. I think that's a good matchup for Boise. They obviously won at the Pit earlier this season, and they're coming in red hot, winners of 5 straight, heading into the Mountain West tournament. I saw them in person the other day in Fort Collins. Like I said, Fielder's playing well. Dylan Andrews, I think, is playing well. You've got the complementary pieces like RJ Keene, high all defense, Andrew Meadow as well. So obviously Javen Buchanan is a solid player. So I've got Boise moving on to the semifinals against San Diego State. The first semifinal game, I've got Utah State over Nevada. I think Nevada's legs will be a little bit tired in the second half of that game, third game in 3 days. So I've got the Aggies, number 1 seed, moving on to the final. And then I've got Boise beating San Diego State. I think I just think they're playing really well. Like I mentioned multiple times now. I think they'll have enough to get past San Diego State. And get to face Utah State in the championship game where it's just 4th game in 4 days. That's why I don't have Boise winning it. I've got Utah State. I know it's chalk, the number 1 seed, but that's my pick. I just think Utah State is the best and most well-rounded team in the Mountain West. And, I don't think the Mountain West wants to see an all future Pac-12 matchup in the conference title game, but I think that's more likely than not. And I think Utah State is the most likely team to win it and obviously go represent. They're already, a lock to make the NCAA tournament as an at-large, even if they don't win any games in Vegas this week, which maybe it's better for the conference if Utah State doesn't win it and someone like either San Diego State, Mexico, or even GCU, Boise, someone like that gets the auto bid to the NCAA tournament. But that's my pick. I've got Utah State. And what do you know? I might be wrong. I mean, you look at my Big 12 picks from yesterday. I went 2-4 on the first day. Arizona State made me look stupid, and so did Oklahoma State tonight, beating Colorado. Thank you, Cincinnati and BYU, for making me look half right. I guess we'll see what the rest of my picks in the Big 12 look like, and as well here in the Mountain West. So just want to give a couple of quick shout-outs on the show before leaving today's episode. The Colorado State women's basketball team won the Mountain West. That's awesome for that program. It feels like they've been on the cusp of breaking through and getting back to the NCAA tournament. They haven't been there since 2016. This is Ryan Williams' 13th season in charge as the coach. This was his second tournament appearance. It's their 4th tournament appearance this century. Obviously, they famously made the Sweet 16 at the end of last century with Becky Hammond leading the way. But just a cool breakthrough moment for this program. Honestly, it would have been cool to see Air Force win it too, but CSU was able to pull away in the end and win as number 3 seed. Like I said, they've had some really good regular seasons lately, finishing top 4, top 5 in the Mountain West, but just never been able to break through in Vegas at the conference tournament until this year. But even though they were down one of their top players in the conference title game, they're still able to get it done against 9 seed Air Force, who had won a bunch of games to get to this point, and was one of the best stories across the country in terms of the women's basketball tournaments this week, despite not winning it. It was an all Colorado final. It was fun to watch, and shout out to the Rams women's basketball team for getting back to the NCAA tournament. I think they deserve it. I think Colorado, the women's basketball team, is also likely going to make the tournament. They're on the right side of the bubble after making it to the semifinals in the Big 12. So multiple Colorado teams in the NCAA tournament this year, which is pretty cool. That has not happened a bunch. I can't even remember the last time that happened, because last time CSU made it, the Buffs were not competitive in 2016. So I'll have to look that up. But that is really cool for the state as a whole to get 2 women's hoops teams into March Madness. So we'll see where both those teams go. Maybe I'll get to follow one of them and cover them with my day job over the Denver Gazette. But that's all I got for today's episode. A little bit shorter than the Big 12 episode, as expected, but appreciate everybody for listening and following along today. We'll have more coverage from these conference tournaments, Big 12, Mountain West, as the weekend goes on. And then obviously on Selection Sunday, we'll be back with another recap show like we had last year, kind of recapping the bracket, going through all the teams we've got from the Mountain Time Zone to dig into. that are taking part in March Madness. So looking forward to all of it. Hope you guys are too. Once again, just a reminder, make sure you're subscribing wherever you're listening, leaving 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple, liking all the videos on YouTube, leaving comments, all that stuff. Like I said, helps me get the show out there to more and more people here as we're getting closer to the start of the NCAA tournament. So once again, thanks to all of you for listening and enjoy the week of basketball.